Hey everybody, welcome to Uzo Make Money in Africa, and let's get to a topic here that is going to trigger some people. And quite frankly, if you are one of the people that are triggered, we don't need you. We need only the people that are here to build. I think I'm going to title this Winners and Losers, and the losers are going to be triggered. Let them be triggered. We need to start separating them. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything, but for the people that don't believe that they can be winners, remember, you are a winner the moment you decide to be a winner and then start to put in the work seriously and consistently and keep doing it and make a way even when you don't have a way. All right, this is going to be a little bit different. This isn't even a mindset video. I've had a couple of those before. This is going to be talking about the state, particularly because this channel is about Africa, but to a lesser extent, the Caribbean. Now, right now, let's start off with the problem. The losers are in control. And like with everything, a winner, as I am, we come up with solutions. But here we go. The losers are in control. What is a loser? Let's define exactly what a loser is. A loser is subservient. Many of these losers are subservient to white supremacy. Yes, we have to talk about that because many people do not recognize. Well, they do recognize, but they're a loser. So they still have completely taken in the Kool-Aid and said, God is white, the devil is black, and all of the other things that are subconsciously put in place all over the continent, all over really the planet. But we're specifically talking about Africans here. Okay. Now, they're subservient to white supremacy. They're subservient to the government to a large extent. They're subservient to the women. They're subservient to the whims of whatever happens to them. See, that's different than you being in poverty and you're just pushing and making a way and trying to make a way and trying to make a way and trying to make a way. That is different because you can be a loser with money. Okay, this is what they are. I'm trying to define a loser here. But the losers are in control, which is causing most of the people to be struggling. Somebody will stab you in the back for some food. Literally. They will stab you in the back for some food. Now, what else do they do? Well, they are subservient. That's what they be. Remember, is be. Fruitful. And what? Multiply. That's a do. So the next thing is do. What do? They whine and complain and moan about everything. They have absolutely no answers. I'm mainly talking about the men here, but this applies to both the men and the women. But men have more of the brunt on this, and I'll get into that later. They whine and complain. Oh, the government is stopping me. Okay. Oh, I don't have a chance to do this. I don't have a chance to do that. Well, have you ever did this? Here's one solution I suggested to people before. And specifically, I was speaking to a woman on this the first time. And I will never forget. I said, hey, when I went up to university, even though I fired the university later on, during the first like 24 or 48 hours, the first 1 or 2 days, I had already established and went to meet with the dean. Oh, you don't know how it is over here. I'm like, man, I've been to a lot of places. Okay. Maybe not your specific country, but I've been in the countries around you. And, you know, a lot of the countries aren't that different. Let's be honest. But, okay, let's say you don't know how it is over here. They would ask you for the reason. I'm like, yeah, they asked for a reason for me. I'm just saying, hey, hi to you guys. I came in there just to introduce myself. It's the beginning of the school year. It's easier to get a meeting if you were having a meeting. It's easier to meet up with these people at the beginning of the school year. Now, I didn't think of that when I was 18. Now in my 30s. I didn't think of that at that time. I wasn't thinking, oh, beginning of the year. I just said, man, everywhere I go up to the highest up person that I can find. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the response to this was, you don't know how it is. They wouldn't let you. I don't care who's letting me. The door says, do not touch, don't enter. I'm still going to probably try to do something like that. It just depends on Do I feel like I can do that? And if I don't think I can get in any other ways, I'm going in. It is what it is. Many people don't do things until they're absolutely forced to. And that's what they told me. They said, wow, nobody meets with the dean until they're in trouble or they're getting kicked out of school. You know what happened as a result of that? I got access to information on scholarships, and I found out that if they don't spend the money on the scholarships, which I covered in the last video, if the government doesn't spend it, and I was at a government, public school is government school, university, if they don't get the money, like somebody take the scholarship, the budget's gone. Now, in this case, it was for black people. So, of course, they ain't about to advertise it, but they told me because they took a liking to me. There were things I would have never known to ask, but now I know now, so I can pass it on to you all. Now, you see that? My rabbit is making a sound. So, got sharp nails, and it is a very good mic. But anyway, I can pass this information on to you guys. So while people are whining and complaining, that's what that person did. They whine and complain. I gave them a solution on something that they can do that's a solution to their specific problem. They said, oh, I can't do it. Now, you see what happened? Here's what I did. Did you ever try? No. Then you don't know if you can do it or not. Who told you you can't? Is there a sign that says you can't do it? Okay, let's say that it's hard to do. That doesn't mean impossible. And then after that, I think a week or two later, I met up with the chancellor. Oh, they would never let you do that unless you had a really good reason. Yeah, my really good reason is I'm going up to meet chancellor because we bringing some money to this university and I got a plan. And that's all they need to know at the secretary. I'll talk the rest of the business to the chancellor. And if that didn't work, don't the chancellors and deans have to enter and leave the university campus buildings? Can't you figure out what time they come in and go out and meet them and kind of like bomb rush them like paparazzi when they enter in the morning or leave later in the afternoon or evening? Isn't that crazy how you could have got around even setting up an official meeting and you could just walk up to them? Hey, I'm a student at your university and I really like this school. I just want to meet up with you. You could just butter them up right there. I really want to meet up with you and talk with you about some things. Is there a time that's free? Because I tried to go to the office. It was hard. Boom. It's that easy. It's not like they got this huge security entourage around them for most part. Now, here's the other thing that losers do, other than whine and complain and have nothing to do. See, I covered this already, but I'm going to say it again. They say they don't have a, quote, chance. I don't have an opportunity. See, they don't create an opportunity. They just say they don't have a chance. I don't have a chance. Well, everybody is not broke. Let's talk about it from the money aspect with the losers in mind, not the broke people that are winners, not the broke people that are hustling, grinding, that actually are still trying to make ways. You might not be good enough to make that way, to be fair. But there are the loser types that just whine and complain. They're, quote, hustling, and they're there because of the whining and complaining. So this is something about creating a chance. Let's talk about it from the money aspect. Everybody's not broke in Africa. So somebody figured out, and not all of them are corrupt either, the ones with money. Somebody figured out a way to make it. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Well, the government won't let us do this. Have you tried fighting back against the government? Yeah, it might take your life and stuff, but living a life on your knees and begging and whining and complaining ain't much of a life to me. I'd rather die on my feet. I've had several instances where I probably wouldn't be here. In my low 20s and mid 20s. And even one, not even a year ago. There could be any time I could be gone, boom, just like that, tomorrow. Who knows? I'm not dying on my knees. That's one thing I know. I'm not making a dumb decision and start whining and begging for life. Somebody pull out, just go ahead. If you're going to do it, you're not going to give me the bag now. Hey, you might pull it and I'm gone. Boom, I'm gone. But you're not getting me the bag before you do it. Now, many people are not fighting to end the corruption. Many people are waiting for their chance to be in the corruption so they can do the same thing that they complained against. Those are losers. Also, finally, they have no solutions to any of the problems. I was on a live stream and I was streaming, and I'll be doing it here. Once we build up a big enough audience, I'll be doing it here where I have live streams. I'm going to talk about answers and everything, and people are going to inevitably call in these losers and say that won't work in XYZ country. Yes, there's 50 plus countries in Africa. Okay. And all of them have unique traits and everything like that. So when I say something and I'm reaching a large audience, they're going to say, that's not going to work here. And they're going to whine and whine and whine. And then I'll have them go, and then they'll defend themselves and they'll babble. They don't have any solutions. Here's how you can knock a freaking loser out. And this is what needs to happen in Africa. This is what this video's for. There needs to be some cuts. China did it themselves. They did that about, what is it, almost 80 to 90 years ago. They literally killed people. They killed their own parents, some of them, to make sure that they had a revolution over there. Or maybe it's 100 years now. They had to make sure that it was a revolution over there so that they could make sure they can build a better future for their kids, because their parents weren't cutting it. So they had to cut their parents, many of them. They had to say, you're a sellout. You are a lazy. You are a loser. And not only are you a loser, because a loser is another thing, the final thing, they work to undermine you. They don't just whine and complain and sit there. This is what makes a loser even worse. They don't work hard on finding solutions to help people. They work hard on finding solutions to get in everybody's way. So the Chinese said, yeah, let's have this revolution here. It's going to be bloody. We need it to happen. Boom. Get this out of here. Out with the old and in with a change. Out with the old and in with success. And we're going to have to put our heads down. And they put their heads down 50 plus years. They're not all the way there yet. They still got a lot of poverty. They eliminated absolute poverty. 700 million people out of absolute poverty. That is to be commended. And they're still on an upward trajectory. They got their own issues with their politics and their freedoms and everything like that. Yet these people decided to do something productive. They didn't let the losers get in their way. The losers have no solutions. And again, here's the answer to that. Oh, when I was talking about a solution, something in this case, it was talking about Nigeria. And he said, this will never work over there. This will never work. Once again, another person that has never even attempted it. But let's see. So, okay, in that case, what's your plan? Since this isn't good, what's your plan? Literally, the dude got quiet. I got this on recording. I think I'll upload this here so that you guys can listen to it one day. But this guy got deadly quiet. It was 72 minutes of us going here and speaking. At first I was speaking, then he got in probably, it was probably 40 minutes speaking with him. And then he was whining and complaining, whining and complaining, whining and complaining. And then I said, you know what? I got the bright idea to say, I'm talking with this guy longer because it's an audience that I know can listen to this later, but let's do this here. What I would do in person. All right. Let's say you're right. What's your plan? Why should we follow you? Basically. He got quiet. I asked it again. He got very mousy and said, well, I don't know. I've done this several times after that. All of them about the same thing. They don't know. The distinguishing factors for a real loser are the ones that work to undermine you actively, and or they just complain on everything and they bring no answer. They don't have a bad one. They just don't have one at all. But they will babble you off and talk about all of this and ramble on about these things as if they got a PhD in Babblenomics. That's what they got. You know what? I'm going to start calling them that. They got PhDs in Babblenomics. A double PhD. They can babble all day and ramble about random information. I would say facts, but that's not even really true. A lot of the stuff they just make up out of their rear ends. Tell them to prove it, and then they change. They don't acknowledge that you are right. They just change the topic. And many people are used to that. Sticking to Nigeria, used to that in Nigeria, used to that in Kenya, used to that in South Africa, used to that all over the world. But we are focusing on the subject matter of this YouTube channel. I could talk about this in many other places too. But that's where the losers operate. And the losers are in control in Africa. Now, here's the opposite of the losers. The winners. The truth serum. The answer to power goes with the winners. Too bad they're in few and far between in short supply. I'm talking about even the people with money. See, a winner is a leader. Not as in they're going to be the leader. We can point to Julius Malema in South Africa, although I don't agree with everything that he speaks about. I agree with the black empowerment aspect of it. Yes, I do. 100%. There's not many Julius Malemas. You don't even have them on your local level where the people are just fighting back. They don't. You know what people told me for years, including when I was broke? See, where I'm from, people fight when they're broke and people fight when they got money, if they are the fighter type. It's not we're going to change up. No, I was homeless and still fighting against white supremacy. It was periods of time where people were telling me, particularly out of West Africa and some other parts, but it was mainly West Africa. And they were telling me, be safe, stop fighting against it. It's not that serious. You need to build up your money. I can do both things at the same time. 24 hours in a day. I'm up 16 of those hours, or maybe more, because I'm trying to grind myself up. But you mean I can't? I shouldn't do anything? Well, you know, the government would do something. Okay, let them. I'm aware of that possibility. I'm aware that this goes on YouTube, and the YouTube they're part of white supremacy. Oh, well, am I supposed to be scared? Okay, and if stuff happens, shoot, I wouldn't like the pain. I wouldn't like some of the consequences, but oh, the frick, well, if somebody ain't gonna do it, if you're not gonna do it, then who? Yeah, I would rather be talking about rockets. Literally, I would. Me. I would rather be talking about rockets and exploring different galaxies, going to Alpha Centauri, talking about life extension, potentially living forever. All of those topics I actually truly enjoy. But instead, I have to talk about white supremacy. I have to talk about different ways that we can fight back against this economic drain. Because think about this. The GDP of Nigeria is only 472.6 billion US dollars. Wow. 472.6. Egypt, 476.7. And South Africa, 405.3 billion US dollars. These should be multi-trillion-dollar economies. 2, 5, 12 trillion, if not more. Nigeria should be one of the top, I would say top 3 nations on the planet as far as the resources that are there, the potential with the human capital that's there. That's what they call a human capital. But the people, the population size makes it a perfect candidate with the resources that are there, the country size that's there, and the potential for growth. Because if Nigerians can get it together, they got the potential to do big moves. But I would say it more like this. Let's talk about West Africa, because these borders were created by these Europeans. There really shouldn't be, at least there shouldn't be visas. If you want to keep the countries as they are, cool. But the visas, that's a completely idiotic thing for any Africans to go from one country to another one. Completely dumb. It's too far along with the European Union being able to do that and whatnot. It's just dumb. And we know why. But people on the ground, you that's listening to this, you have to fight against that within your own country. You start calling up your own country's government and say, hey, we can't be all be comfortable. We can be equally uncomfortable. You could annoy the government in ways. You can make things harder for people. You can start showing up to different places. You can start mobilizing it and whatnot. Tell them, eliminate the visa. Because if one of these countries starts, let's say Nigeria, say, hey, nobody else got the visas here, and only for Africans, not everybody, like Ruto, the sellout bootlicking president in Kenya. He said, oh, it's for Africans, and then it's everybody. Which means it's really going to be for everybody else, because he knows that they got more money to afford to get there than Africans. And then he put in this place to make it 3 days to get around to your neighbors. You got to fight back against that. Come on now. Somebody presented a problem. You got to do that. So a winner is a leader. They lead in the ideas. They lead by their economics. They lead in their determination. They lead by putting their head up, walking strong, standing on their points, not wavering around and going here and there and, oh, you backpedaling me. They lead in their knowledge. That's what type of leader I'm talking about. Not some leader of some organization or group. It's going to be so contagious that their idea that they spread out, it doesn't have to be attached to them, which makes it safer. When the idea is out there, instead of everybody or the majority of people cowering so damn much that they have to find behind one person or two people, that person could be killed. The whole movement has stopped. But if you start to adopt the ideas that I'm talking about on here, they cannot stop you. One ant gets smashed. One ant gets smashed. One ant gets smashed. Here's a whole wave of tens of thousands of them. Hundreds of thousands, millions of other ants coming up behind. Here's another ant. Here's 10. Here's 20. It makes you all safer now because they can't attack one and say it's all dissipated. They attack one. It's very sad still. It's still equally as sad. But guess what? The movement keeps going. That was the risk. That was part of that. And it keeps going like a wave in a tsunami. They can't stop it. Look at Mohammed Mossadegh. Y'all need to look him up. Over there in Iran, they nationalized. He spoke and said, hey, this is not Sharia law. All of what they're doing here, these Europeans, this is not part of Sharia. It doesn't matter if you're a prime minister, you're a governor, you're a president. Nothing goes above Sharia law. And he got the idea out to the people, and they had backed him to overthrow the government that had been installed after they took out the last person. So, another thing that winners do, they state the problem, like what you're doing here, and they work on fixing it. They don't just state problems. Now, if they aren't going to be the person to solve it, for example, like this video, I cannot particularly solve all the problems. What I can do is point out the problem. Now it's up to you, because I've already provided some solutions. You can now think of the exact solutions that would be for you. So they state a problem and they work on it. So my solution here is the speaking part, because that's how we're exchanging ideas. Another thing that winners do, they make it work with what they got. They don't say, well, I don't have a chance. I don't have a chance. Please. I wasn't given the opportunity. I hear that a lot, man. I hear that too much, and especially out of the men. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I wasn't given the opportunity. Who's supposed to give you anything, man? You're supposed to go out there and take it. Now, I understand everybody's not going to be wanting to do that leadership role, but hey, you got to settle for being a loser then. This is not they didn't give me a chance. They didn't give me the opportunity. Make one. And then finally, they solve problems. They are a problem solver. Now, this is a general success trait anyway. So the people that, let's say, are, as I had defined, losers, and they actively undermine you. On the one hand, they are the winner of the losers. If you think about these sellout puppet politicians, they're not leaders, but politicians. Well, if they're correctly holding you back and they got all these things getting away, hey, shoot, they solved the problem. The problem was how we keep these fools down longer. We know it is likely inevitable that they're going to fight back and against us, but let's keep them down longer. And by the time they do fight back, they're not going to fight off the Europeans. They're not going to fight that control everything for real, for real. They're not going to change the contracts that are cheaping them out. And if they do, they're only going to do it slightly better. So we're still going to make the massive profits. They're not going to adjust and change from what they heard on that YouTube channel, on that YouTube video. They're not going to change. That's what they're solving the problem for, technically. But we're talking about the winner that's on your side. They solve problems. They pointed out the problem before. They worked on the solution and they solved it. And they do it consistently. That's what a winner is. And there's too many losers that run Africa. It's time for you today to stop being a loser if you are. And if you are, well, I would say be the best dang loser, but no. I need you winners to start separating these people, shaming them, down talking these losers where you got the chance, making sure it is publicly not okay to have losers around you. And in some ways, that's petty, but in the other one, that's what we need. Need to get some straightening around here. Now, which one are you going to choose to be? Are you going to choose to be a loser? Or are you going to choose to be a winner? Are you going to choose to take your life back? Are you going to choose to give life for a future generation? I'll catch you all on the next one.